Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today I'm on a super big Chaos kick. Seriously, I've just primed up like about 200 Chaos Warriors just to start working on the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. And yeah, I wanted to talk about Chaos today because there's a bunch of stuff that's still kind of missing for Chaos in general, not just the Warriors of Chaos. And we've been getting quite a lot of Chaos content. Yes, I know some people are kind of fatigued with it, but truth be told, we should have seen this coming when they actually started teasing Warhammer 3, where they were going, oh, you know, it's going to be utter chaos. Yeah, it's just going to be a regular thing. I imagine they'll slow down with Chaos content after the Slaanesh DLC, but I could still see some stuff cropping in every now and then. So let's talk about some cool missing stuff. But before anything, a big thank you to Instant Gaming for sponsoring this video. Instant Gaming is a platform where you can buy games at discounted rates, even before they release and after too. If you're like me and you're jumping onto the old world hype, especially as Games Workshop are getting faster, yeah, money is getting a little bit tight, so getting a game at a discounted rate is always the best way to go. I got my hands on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 discounted, and it's a pretty damn good RPG game, I'm gonna have to say that. And there's a lot of Total War stuff on sale all the time, so if you want to pick up some DLCs that you don't have at the moment, it's always best to get it at a discounted rate. We do also have a monthly giveaway going on. All you have to do is go down to the description below and just sign up. You don't even have to make a purchase. If you're lucky and you win, you can win the game of your choice. Yeah, pretty much just whatever title you're looking at there. We've had a lot of cool winners in the past. This is a company that I work with on a regular basis. It's been close to a year now, and it is quite nice to be able to work with a company that I use myself. But yeah, big thank you to Instant Gaming once again for the sponsor, and now let's return to our regularly scheduled programming. Alright, let's start off with something that I'm kind of expecting in the next DLC, the gigantic Chaos Spawn. Yeah, I know, it's gorgeous, isn't it? It's one of those models that appeared in Warhammer Fantasy for the whole Warhammer Forge World scenarios, and then disappeared. But the funny thing is, it's back for Warhammer the Old World. So yeah, it's a Chaos Spawn, but just heavily mutated. Much more destructive than the normal Chaos Spawn that you have access to. And what makes these so cool is that they can usually take marks. I don't know if that's something that Creative Assembly would like to do. Maybe just have a generic, because I don't think they like to cross-pollinate too many specific big units and they leave a few out for the monogods. But this is a faction that could help a lot of different factions. You could see it with Norska, you could see it with Slaanesh, you could see it with the generic Warriors of Chaos, and you could see it with the Beastmen too. Again, Beastmen winning pretty much every DLC lately. It's honestly a massive shame that we don't have this just yet, considering that it's such an iconic miniature, and you would have expected Games Workshop to go to CA, like, you know, add this in now so we can cross-promote it. Because there has been some cross-promotion, even with, like, the recent High Elf stuff, where they've gone Sea Patrol with the Garrison, no Aisling, but then they start mentioning Aisling in a recent article. You can see what I mean there. There has been cross-promotion, even though they don't publicly say it. I could definitely see this in a Slaanesh DLC, though, considering that it's a big monster, it's quite fast, the spawns do really fit with the aesthetic of Slaanesh, losing yourself to spawn them, but it'd be nice if it was just, like, untouched, right? No god touch or anything, so a lot more factions could make use of it. It's a bit of a shame when you look towards, say, for example, the Mutilator Vortex Beast or the Slaughter Brute. Yes, they're kind of coded to be god-styled, but they're really supposed to be an undivided monster. Alright, Putrid Blight Kings are next. So this isn't a single entity, this is obviously a multi-entity unit. I think a lot of people are kind of confused about this because we have end times now, we never really had end times before. So Khorne got access to Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers, but Nurgle didn't get access to the Putrid Blight Kings. And these are units which are very multi-purpose, they're very strong, you can see them with multiple different loadouts. I imagine that we might get some sort of End Times DLC. It kind of makes sense for Nagash and Thanquol and so on, so they might just go, yeah, Nurgle's going to get another DLC. My worry here is they might just do one Putrid Blight King unit, you know, rather than going, you know, we can potentially turn this into 2 or 3. I'd love to see unit variants coming in where you've got the Putrid Blight Kings with sword and board, great weapons, and additional hand weapons. We didn't really get that with the Skull Reapers. The champion did have a great weapon, but it wasn't really in the rules. But some creativity should be given, especially for just padding out some stuff and getting some better use out of it. I would have loved to see the Skull Reapers with a great weapon, for example, just to have a little bit more going on there. And the same thing could be said about the Putrid Blight Kings. Great weapons make a lot more sense, considering that, yes, you know, this is a Nurgle warrior faction, but having some variants is always really cool. Whether or not we get these is up to the question of whatever happens with Total War in the coming years. Well, given DLC releases, years feels appropriate. But they're definitely too iconic to forget about, and while I'm not the most keen on the idea of Nurgle getting another DLC, maybe because I'm not too keen on that god myself, it would be needed to bring them in. I do not want to see this game end without the introduction of as many iconic units as possible. The Great Spined Chaos Beast is another weird one, because we know that this one was dabbled upon. In the art book for Total War Warhammer 3, yeah, there is concept art for a rather green-inspired one, so maybe they wanted to throw it in with Nurgle at some point. Actually, diverting for a little second, it's really weird on how a lot of artwork exists there for stuff that isn't out yet. For example, the lance for a Bretonnian character, and even one of the heads of the Chimera too. But we don't know exactly what's being created in the back in terms of art for units that we just might never see. Even stuff, because I am pretty sure there's stuff from Game 1 which still hasn't actually made it into Game 3, in terms of just developed art-wise, and that's it. But yeah, the Great Spined Chaos Beast is a big monster. This is a Chaos Warhound, funny enough. It's just extremely heavily mutated, and it makes them very fast, very destructive. Again, Storm of Magic from 8th edition, so a long time ago. This isn't back in Old World just yet, but I'm holding out hope and praying to the gods that this comes in the Arcane Journal. But yeah, this is a fast single entity monster. Yes, Chaos does have a lot of those single entity monsters, but what it sets it apart is it's supposed to just be like a Warhound just on steroids. It'd be really cool to see these, honestly. I think it would be great. Maybe pop up in an End Times DLC if they're looking for more stuff to actually introduce. Beastmen could take advantage of it. Maybe even Norska. I mean, Norska mostly pushes on the ice walls, but you could just have a different variant with Norska just tinted in white. It should be a monster hunter, which I think it would perform very well. And to be honest, a lot of Chaos factions do need more monster hunter monsters. It's just, you get that with the Slaughter Brute, and a lot of factions won't have access to the Slaughter Brute. Next is the Praeton, and this is a unit that I just don't think we're going to get in-game, mostly because I very much doubt we're going to be getting another Beastmen DLC, and it doesn't really fit with other factions, which is a massive shame, because the Praeton itself is hands down one of the best models that we ever had from the Warhammer Forge era. Extremely detailed, it looks fantastic on a board. Here's hoping this shows up once again in the Old World at some point. I'm kind of wishlisting a lot of stuff, but I understand that a lot of stuff can't return, because maybe some molds are broken and so on. But yeah, this is a flying monster. It drives enemies mad, which I think is absolutely awesome. It's a creature that you think about a lot when you think about Chaos, and yet it's still not here. The only problem is I don't really see this monster with other factions, and literally just with the Beastmen. Maybe they could justify it with, like, I don't know, Norska, and even then it would be a really hard stretch to sell. Or if Creative Assembly start looking towards stuff like unit packs, you know, which have been discussed in the past, and I think could be doable. A few creatures here and there for different types of cultures within Total War, and it adds in a lot of flavor. They can't justify another Beastmen DLC, unless they do like Gorus Warhoof and so on, and even then I think not many people would be interested in a Beastmen DLC, but a new unit every now and then would work out quite wonderfully. And lastly, we're going to talk about the most requested unit, the Chaos Dwarf Ass Cannon. I'm kidding, obviously. I mean, it's just kind of funny because a lot of people are just confused about this, and yeah, it's a thing. Citadel was a weird place. Alright, let's go into the proper last one, which is just as cursed, but only by name. The Cursed Etin. So this is a kinda giant. It was actually like a former group of humans that were cursed, and these are now mutated beyond belief, essentially, is probably the best way of saying it. They still exist around the lands of Norska, and I do feel like this monster will probably show up in a Norska DLC if we ever get one, which, I mean, there's rumors going around that it's the next one, but the Cursed Etin is very unique. This was added in way back, I guess, during the Monstrous Arcanum, I believe, and is incredibly rare to find that model, actually. It's very, very rare. The Cursed Etins, they vary on the style, because how you upgraded them is how different they were. You could make them spellcasters, you could make them very good at melee, well, decent at melee, they're still giants after all. But that's what made them incredibly unique, and it's a massive shame that we still don't have these here. Mostly because, let's be honest, the Norskin giant is pretty damn ugly, and not in the good way, it just looks like it was tacked on last minute. Variants here would look very much the same, I think. I don't think a lot of artwork actually existed on the Etin, barring some from Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. But I think it's about time that Norska got some monsters that were unique to them, not just reskinned war dogs, reskinned giants. It's about time that Norska started getting their own identity. even if it's just Chaos Light, but at least a slightly different flavor. This is just a small list. There is actually a lot of missing monsters and units and stuff that could be added, whether it's DLC, FLC, or maybe unit packs. It depends on what Creative Assembly wants to do. But yeah, you know, the Chimera is something that we're expecting, and that art exists in other locations. There's so many different monsters. Chaos really did eat well throughout the 40 years of Warhammer Fantasy. So if I missed any that you guys think should be in the game, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start a bit of a discussion. To apologize for the late video, I literally was just sorting out minis. I'm having fun playing Old World, and I'm trying to get armies sorted for it. Have a good day, guys. I'll see you all again very, very soon.